throes and madness that comes with the creative process, we oftentimes find ourselves struggling to truly capture, much less show, a fervent, illuminating vision. One that ruminates within the confines of our minds, its light peeking out through the cracks but never flourishing. It's a grand vision, something every creative mind drags themselves through the tunnels of hell to piece together. But when the mind reaches the end of the tunnel, that light explodes, overtaking the senses and driving all thought and action towards seeing this vision through. You could liken this to a flow state for the author within us, the pinnacle of what it means to create, as the mind translates to the hand, which translates to the pen, which translates to the paper. In this burning white-hot core, where passion is the light, all becomes clear as that vision within the author's mind bursts forward and becomes shared by all who see it. I first heard of this burning white-hot core from my creative writing professor back in my college days. He coined it from another professor, and as I explain it to you, I'm sure some of the original meaning has been shaved off, replaced with my own impressions of what this concept has come to mean for me. It is the action we take after inspiration, the hopes of capturing and encapsulating a vivid thought, an amazing idea, or an intense emotion. It is both the goal and the starting point of which we take on these creative endeavors. A book may have a refined beginning and a defined end to its reader, but through the lens of the author, the book really began at the burning white-hot core in its infancy and ended at the last stroke of the pen. I believe I have found this burning white-hot core shining brilliantly from the depths of the sea, and it too has inspired something of a burning white-hot core within me. That, or I'm completely off the mark and have already lost 90% of the people clicking on this video wanting Abyssus content. Am I being dramatic with this opening for a silly FPS roguelite where the player character makes a Xenoblade 2 reference?
Think you can take me?
Maybe. Could I have saved the soliloquy for a more artsy work that scratches the deeper meanings of life? Absolutely. But it's this game that has inspired me to clack away at the keyboard, so it gets the honors. Either way, my spiel about my own burning white-hot core still remains true, and I want to dissect what I think might be this game's burning white-hot core. So I'm gonna see this script through and make sure it ends as a video on your screen. Oh, and please subscribe if you are maybe mildly amused or intrigued by that opening. I have been suggested to make more of a focused effort to include some sort of bargain or plea deal for subs, so please indulge me. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, spoilers! Normally I debate with myself how deep I want to go into spoiler territory, but this video is gonna go as deep as possible. That was decided before I even jotted the first word on this script down. And as always, this is my own interpretation and reading of the game's story. Some of it is entirely grounded in what I found during my playthrough, and some of it is taking things a step further and expounding my own theories and observations. Call it conjecture or call it literary analysis, I'll be claiming it as my own. But enough prattling on, let's get down to business and take a deeper dive into Abyssus. Shortly after the tutorial, we find ourselves at our base camp, a cozy craggle steeped upon a cliff overlooking a massive chasm. Giant waterfalls gush endlessly down into the earth. The same depths we'll be treading soon enough. The ghostly visage of a pyramid peeks through the fog, its foreboding shadow quashing any attempt at toppling it. Perhaps a lesson learned by the myriad shipwrecks surrounding this lonely place? It's here that our attempt to conquer the pyramid shall be made. Before our own voyage begins, we have to gear up. There's 8 weapons. Each one has 3 primary fires and 3 secondary fires to choose from. I'll let you do the math on total possible combos, but don't forget about the 6 abilities to choose from. My go-to loadout is the handgun with high caliber rounds and the big swinging anchor. We're either shooting mad precise shots through our enemy's weak points, or we're going berserk splattering everything. It's quite a fine line, I assure you. With our chosen loadout, we gather into the diving machine and plunge into the abyss. The way is lit by strange lights, diffusing to reveal earthen ruins coddled by a maze of sturdy cave walls. Presumably the only barrier between us and a deluge of ocean water. Guardians alight, seeking to eliminate all intruders daring to trespass and infringe upon their domain. Their existence might ring a few alarm bells when contrasted with their ancient environment, but there's no time to question it. We've got brine to hunt. Brine, a type of salt water found near underwater caves. It can be used to preserve food, and that's the main thematic metaphor I'll be exploring. After all, it's only human nature to want to preserve oneself. The brine surrounding this underwater hideaway is preserving these relics of history, a feast for the eyes if you will. However, as we tread through these murky and dank caves, collecting a variety of blessings to increase our power, upgrading our weapons and abilities, sacrificing our plunder and our blood. As we crumble these automatons one by one, destroying what has laid dormant here for centuries, the brine we're hunting may not be here. The water that lines the cave's walls in a slick sheen drips from its crusted stalagmites and splashes in skewed puddles under our feet. Is not the brine we're after. We need a different preservative. Before we can leave, one last guardian approaches. A golem with a worn face, fractured marbled beard revealing its core, stands ready to defend what's left. The golem leaps into action, crashing its body into the floor, threatening to cave it all in to stop us. Lasers, trapped floors, ripples of energy, anything to keep us from our march. But in the end, it's not enough to sedate our quest for brine. The golem collapses, and as we collect our spoils of war from this rotting guardian, it would seem to have carried no such brine. It's obvious, then, that we must move on. We leave the depths and find ourselves within a walled garden. Looming giants with large glowing eyes tower and look down upon us as we struggle with our forage. Entering this new region, the locals don't take too kindly to our looting, sending their best warriors to fend us off. The bodies pile high as we rip and tear through their ranks. Blood dyes the waters a filthy red, tainting a once taciturn ecosystem of flowers and river life. We have interrupted peace with each dirty ripple, and as we carry on, a new guardian dares to drown us within a whirlpool of our sins. This one commands water, pushing and pulling with its turbulent tides, poison seeping into our veins. Though it tries to muck with the water, it succumbs all the same to our power. The brine has washed away, and so we jump into the depths of hell. A cold purple haze slathers the hallways of these catacombs. Even in this claustrophobic land of the dead, a peculiar water flows through, alight with the souls of the deceased. If I could make an educated guess, I believe this area to be Xibalba, the Mayan underworld. Xibalba is a cave of fear, a portal to the afterlife, one where no sane person would daunt to travel while alive. Yet, despite all the psychopomps warding us away, a cacophony of disturbed undead screaming out against our intrusion, neither fear nor empathy accompany us. Life, unlife, state of being doesn't matter. It's all crushed the same. And therein lies the problem. If even death brings change and cannot wrap us in brine, what state of being can? After flinging ourselves into the deepest depths of the underworld, there's only one way to go: up, past death's shackles, beyond the mortal coil, and into a realm beyond. This is where the heart of the game truly gains its pulse. The white-hot core begins to burn. Splotches of space dot this heavenly abode as a stained red bleeds from the pyramid, carpeting us towards another sacrifice. In some circles, space is tantamount to heaven, like Plato posturing the world of forms to be directly above us, likening planets to perfect spheres. While Plato is the furthest thing from whichever Mesoamerican civilization this setting is based on, the idea that heaven is stillness permeates throughout this preserved void. Having gone through the depths of the underworld and rode upon its river, have we reincarnated into something more, or have we found the brine that preserves us? In this perfect world, where nothing moves an inch as it needs not to, we move on. Whatever demigod stands before us is quickly dispatched, and we approach the final gate. Stepping through this ethereal portal, we're transported to yet another realm, one which stands at the pinnacle of the pyramid. Above, one pillar of light pierces through a swirl of clouds and casts down upon a grand throne. Heaven's gates, where the eternal sun decides the truth, whose right is claimed to rule this realm. Stone not treaded by any mere mortal lays the foundation for what will be the final trial. the final rite of passage. A being, perhaps God itself, rises up to meet our challenge. This God, which has long sat upon the throne for who knows how long, moves to our presence, commands space in resistance to our power, shatters their stillness to stop our motion. The battle was truly over before it even began. When the dust settles, we claim our rightful throne as God of this sea of tranquility, having reached the ultimate level of existence, attaining the power we've truly sought, maybe even reaching the enlightenment we really wanted. We retreat into stillness until the cycle is repeated and we find ourselves on the other side of it. This violent cycle continues on and on and on, always playing out exactly the same way. And yet, along the way, something breaks. An even more dormant, eldritch power makes itself evident, playing us like puppets on a string. Is this the accumulation of power as each generation comes along, more powerful than the last to slay the god of the previous era? Is this corruption a result of an everlasting quest for stillness? Is our perception of the preserved corrupted? Or maybe the concept itself corrupts and manifests as a true horror indescribable. Maybe the effort to preserve oneself is a vain pursuit, one that always ends in a life not worth living when it becomes so controlled. Alright, you've suffered through me dusting off my literary analysis skills long enough. What did I think of the game as a game, rather than a literary work? I freaking loved it! Everything about this game is so cool, from the boss designs to the highly customizable and expressive classes, and of course the main inspiration for the video, the final area and boss fight. There's still so much to talk about. If you're here for a proper game review, this is the section for you. First off, since I neglected to talk about it for so long, the gameplay is crisp. There's nothing too fancy here in terms of movement or shooting, but there doesn't need to be. Every gun feels responsive, each covering their own unique niche. The machine gun mows things down, the shotgun one-shots from up close. The disc thrower scatters havoc with hellion ricochet. You can even dedicate builds to your abilities too. Like I said before, my go-to is using the anchor to deal massive AoE damage and one-shot smaller enemies. The small details in this game are incredible. When you unlock the fish deity after completing its 3 quests, instead of simply spawning as a class for you to pick, you have to retrieve it from a fountain where you find it swimming, like a fish. There's a whole section in the hub world that displays your spoils of war, and it's really cool to wander through them like a museum, perusing each artifact like it's an exhibit. Not to mention the whimsical platforming present that lets you find all sorts of secret nooks and crannies. And the final boss twist is such a fantastic way to take advantage of expectations. After having played and beaten a few runs to that point, when the tentacles burst out of the back of the boss for round 2, I got chills. I don't recall the last time a boss fight gave me chills like that. The overall presentation of the final boss fight is on par with Elden Ring in terms of stage setting and cinematic experience. Is it as polished as Elden Ring? No, but this is as close as you're going to get without having the advantage of thousands of staff members. And the twist was foreshadowed from the start of the game between the tentacles on the title screen and this icon in the run modifier. Things like that tell me that the game was developed with that boss fight in mind from the start. It's the white-hot core I had alluded to earlier. I could feel every ounce of passion poured into the moment, and I'd say it paid off tremendously. It makes me wonder what could be done by this team in the future. Of course, I do have my critiques of the game. The main thing is that since roguelikes live and die by their diversity, it's important that no 2 runs feel forcibly the same. Of course, you have players like me that run one build over and over until the dopamine has been completely sucked dry like a shriveled juice box. That's fine. That's not forced. That's the player enjoying the game how they want. But when you face down the same exact bosses over and over, run after run in the same order, things can feel tedious by design, even if they gain new moves with increasing difficulty. You'll always face the golem in Act 1, the whirlpool summoner in Act 2, the undead god in Act 3, and only in Act 4 does the game randomly decide which sub-boss you'll face before the end. Even the other sub-bosses before Act 4 are the same. While everything else is rife with options, the guns, the abilities, the run modifiers, the bosses are rather static. And some rooms have objectives in them, and most are tantamount to staying in a single spot or area while something charges up. It gets a little obnoxious staying in those areas when some enemies have AoEs that dwarf the zone you have to stay in. And when there's multiple of the same enemy chaining that AoE together, doing the objective feels close to impossible. Maybe there can be a short timer where enemies don't spawn once you've dealt with them, and after the objective bar ticks up a certain amount, they can then spawn back in. Something to make it not feel like I'm drowning when I think I should be swimming just fine. In a year with surprise hits like Clair Obscura, the release of the Switch 2 bringing Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, long-awaited sequels like Hades 2 living up to expectations, I would hate to see Abyssus drown into obscurity without attempting to shine a light on it. Thanks for watching, and subscribe!